IVF is an amazing opportunity, but a lot of my patients are reluctant to do it. It is so common to have mixed emotions when you're thinking about using this technology, and you can be both grateful for the opportunity and really dread and not want to do it. So today I'm going to go over 5 top reasons my patients are reluctant to do IVF and how I counsel them through it and help them think about each of these very carefully. Let's get started. I'm Dr. Laura Shaheen. I'm a double board certified OBGYN and reproductive endocrinologist, helping people with IVF for over 20 years. And I help people really struggle with a lot of kind of getting started, thinking about it, being reluctant with IVF. And I really want to talk to you about 5 top reasons my own patients are reluctant to do IVF and how I counsel them through it. This is very personal for me because I also did IVF to help build my family, and I was reluctant to do it as well. It's just a lot to take in. So as an IVF doctor, also having mixed emotions, I hope that this video can help you really think through tough situations, mixed emotions that you have, and just help you kind of answer some of those questions that you might have. If this is your first time finding this channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Be sure and subscribe so you get my weekly videos all about reproductive health. If you're coming back, welcome back. I'm so glad that you find this information valuable. There's 2 other ways to stay in touch and learn. Number 1 is my weekly podcast, the Baby or Bust Fertility Podcast. There's a playlist on YouTube. You can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts, interviews, in-depth discussions on all things reproductive health. The second way is my newsletter. I have a weekly newsletter where we talk about fertility in the news. I share my educational content for the week and some recommendations for products and books that I love. Now, today we're going to go over the top 5 reasons that I have found my patients be reluctant to do IVF. IVF is full of emotions, and it is so common to feel both excited, nervous, grateful for the opportunity, and really not want to do it. And so we'll go through each of these top 5 reasons my patients are reluctant and how I counsel them through it. The last one is really going to surprise you. Reason number 1 that patients are reluctant to do IVF: fear of shots. This is really common, and it can vary from just a reluctance, like, I really don't want to do shots, to a true phobia. I mean, I really have had patients that honestly will lose consciousness, pass out at the sight of a needle. And it is okay to have a fear of needle. It is so strange to even imagine that we prescribe these medications, they get shipped to your house, and we're like, yeah, sure, you've never given yourself a shot, but you're going to be just fine. Here's some videos, here's a little bit. Sometimes partners will help. And so if you're kind of like, no, I'm nervous about this, I'm reluctant, that is really normal. Lots of different ways for learning. Sometimes we do in-person teaching. Sometimes the videos are really helpful. And sometimes patients will actually get at-home nurses to come to their house to help give them their shots. It is not usually something that can be done in the clinic because oftentimes the shots are given at night, but you talk to your doctor and your nurse about the situation and what is available to you. But I have definitely found people being reluctant to do IVF, nervous to do IVF, mainly because of a fear of shots. I felt that way too. When I was going through IVF, I remember getting this huge box, all of these needles, all of these medications, and I was like, I cannot believe that my patients are having to go through this. Like, I really do understand now why this is so nerve-wracking. And every single time I had to give myself a shot, I would actually pull up the video. Even if I'd done it like the 10th time or the 11th time, I just like always wanted to see everything. I wanted that reassurance and like watch the whole process because I was so nervous about doing something wrong. And I'm an IVF doctor, so I totally understand being nervous about this. Talk to your team about options that are available to you if this is one of the reasons that you are reluctant to do IVF. Reason number 2, my patients are reluctant to do IVF is a fear of side effects. And that is really normal. Oh my gosh, there is such a hype out there about how awful IVF is. Crazy mood swings, yelling at your partner, being erratic, incredible weight gain, headaches, mood changes, like just fatigue. And listen, IVF is not a walk in the park, But I will say a lot of the hype that's out there is a little bit overblown. I cannot tell you how you are going to feel through your IVF cycle, but I will tell you the majority of patients say, listen, fatigue is a real issue. Bloating and temporary weight gain because of fluid shifts is a real issue. But most of the time, people look back and say, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It is totally normal to be reluctant to do IVF because you're worried about side effects. And so it's important to get education and talk to your doctor. Like, hey, what are the side effects I can expect? And what would be outside of typical? Or what are the warning signs that I should contact you? If I'm having an issue, how am I going to get in touch with someone at night? So if you are worried about that, that is totally normal. And I think that what you can do is realize that most of the time people have these, some side effects, but most of the time it's not as bad as people thought it was going to be. And if you talk to your doctor about what to expect for your personal situation, if you talk to your doctor about how you're going to know if something is outside of the norm for you and how you're going to get help, I think that that will help you overcome that reluctance because you'll have more education and you know that you're going to be supported. Reason number 3 that people are often reluctant to do IVF is that they don't want to have multiples. And I want you to know this has changed so much over my career. I remember 20 years ago where people were pretty routinely having twins and sometimes even triplets. And I remember Octomom in the headlines, this woman who transferred multiple embryos and had 8 live children born, Octomom. That is not happening anymore. I can't remember the last time that it happened. And I really hope that that never, ever, ever happens again. I mean, that is really not okay. It's not okay for the health of the mom. It's not okay for the health of those babies. And it is just no reason to have that happen ever again. Our goal is one healthy baby at a time. I think sometimes twins happen. There are times where people sometimes transfer more than one embryo, but with the success of IVF, with the techniques that we have to select embryos that have the highest chance of success, there is really no reason to think of twins or triplets as being an automatic outcome with IVF. And I cannot tell you how many times people say, hey, listen, I really want to have a family, but I am not doing IVF because I do not want twins. I know how risky that is. I do not want triplets. And I just know that you're going to make that happen if we do IVF. And it is so great to be able to share with people, hey, I know you've seen this in the media, but this is not the norm. And we have done so much in the field to make that not a goal. Sometimes it happens, but it's not an automatic outcome with IVF. Honestly, you have more control over the risk of twins with IVF because you can select the number of embryos, like just one, to transfer. You have more control than when you're doing intrauterine insemination. If you are ovulating multiple eggs and you do an IUI or an intrauterine insemination where you just put sperm in, there's sometimes a higher risk of twins if you do IUIs than if you have IVF and you're controlling the number of embryos that you transfer. And that's mind-bending for some people, but that is the reality and where we are today. And it is such a better place to be for the field. It's healthier for the person who's pregnant and it's healthier for the babies. One healthy baby at a time. Reason number 4, people are reluctant to do IVF is a fear of going into debt. Now, this is a real reality for some people, and it is so important to understand the true cost of IVF and all of the options that are available to you before you get started. And some people have coverage. I mean, that is the way that it should be, but not every company provides coverage for fertility. There are some states that mandate it, but most do not. There are really creative ways to fund IVF if this is what you need and you don't have coverage. There are incredible grants that are available. I have a whole video here on cost of IVF. I don't want anyone to go into debt in order to have their family. I wish IVF was universally covered. I am practicing now in the state of Washington where there is not a mandate. We are working on it. We are lobbying. It's been up for vote multiple times, but it's not a current reality. I'm recording this in January 2025. I hope someday that will be different. I have patients that have coverage sometimes from their employers. I have patients that will sometimes get fertility grants. I have some patients that will work with certain companies. I happen to be on the medical board of something called Sunfish that provides guidance and loans and even guarantees for IVF outcomes. You can get money back if you aren't successful. There are so many options that I just think taking that time to be really well-versed, educated, and think through what is available to you is going to make the process a lot easier. And it is a real reality to be reluctant and to have nervousness about undergoing such an expensive procedure that I don't want you to turn away from a technology or a medical treatment that could help you meet your family goals because you have assumptions about the cost. I just want you to be educated, learn about options, and people have been incredibly creative. So look at my video here, Cost of IVF. I've got links to resources and grants, and some of my patients have had incredible, unique, and resourceful ways of making it happen. And the last one that might really surprise you, but it is one of the most common reasons that my patients do not do IVF: fear of it not working. Oh, I mean, of course, you are putting all of this effort, time, taking medications, getting over a fear of shots, maybe out-of-pocket costs, like all of these things that we talked about before. But the real reason you can't get over that, even if you know it's your highest chance of having the family of your dreams, is a fear that if IVF doesn't work, you're not going to be a parent. That I think we hold IVF up on this pedestal as this ultimate technology, this ultimate treatment. And there's a fear that if IVF doesn't work, that you're not ever going to have your family. And that is just not true. IVF is a single set of eggs, a single set of sperm. It's a subset of tries, and then depending on the number of embryos that you get. There are so many factors. But if someone is not successful with IVF, and they have all the parts that they need, they've got eggs, they've got sperm, they're ovulating, the anatomy is okay, it could happen anytime. 1 in 5 couples that do IVF actually go on to get pregnant and add to their family or have a baby without IVF in the future. So to hold IVF up on this pedestal as this ultimate treatment, and if it doesn't work, you're never going to be a parent, that is giving it too much power. It is efficient. It is the best technology that we have in many different situations. But it is not the ultimate. And you really do have to be brave to take that step. And I tell my patients every day, like, they are some of the most brave people I've ever encountered, because being brave isn't doing something without fear. It's being nervous. It's having reluctant feelings and doing it anyway. So let's recap. The 5 top reasons that my patients are really reluctant to do IVF are: number 1, a fear of shots. Number 2, a fear of side effects. Number 3, a fear that it's absolutely going to result in multiple gestation. Number 4, a fear of significant debt. And number 5, a fear that it's just not going to work. I know that IVF is a lot to consider and a lot to undertake. And that's one of the reasons that I do all of this education. I really was quite humbled after I went through IVF myself. I had spent years counseling patients, learning from the nurses in the clinic, learning from my colleagues, learning from my patients. But when I was a patient and I was giving myself the shots and having these nervousness and reluctance and fear, I think it really gave me a sense of empathy. And I want to get this information out there to help people who are feeling like, gosh, why am I not just 100% in with IVF? Like, I should just feel super positive and, absolutely do it without reservations or reluctance. That's not true. It is a mixed emotions. There's a lot to go through. So having this education and finding the support that's right for you is going to help you be able to move forward if it's the right next step for you. Be sure and subscribe to this channel so you get my weekly videos all about reproductive health. Sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss educational content and recommendations that I have, and listen to the podcast every week. Incredible information coming out that way too. Until next week, wishing you love, luck, and pineapples.